Thank you, Altaf, and Yadi Mother to all on this wonderful Zoom session. And you can see right behind me, sun is finally coming out. It has been a gloomy, dark morning, but with Ali Allah's mercy and Rahmat and so much blessing on our soul that we started with a wonderful session this morning, and now this is our second session today. So once again, let's ask Maula Zaman, Ali Zaman to give us Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari. Ya Maula Mehrban, you know us very well, that we are very weak, very, very poor in the knowledge, in the deeds, in our action, in our understanding, and everything that you have given us. We are not able to give our thank enough to you, Maula Baba. And thank you for loving us, and thank you for continue sharing your mercy on our soul. And inshallah, soon, with your Rahman and Rahim attribution, we will have your Nurani Didar. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari. As you saw, the subject or the topic of today's session, and there was a reason for doing this session. I'm sure all of you have heard all of the lectures on the meaning, deeper meaning, the tawil of the holy dua. But today's session is a little bit different, and it is due to the few questions that we have received during the dua meaning sessions. First question was, why do we pray 3 times a day compared to other Muslims? They have 5-time namaz. Second, what is the reason for the surahs and ayah in the dua, the way those are in the sequence? And the third, how do we connect our dua with Quran? So after looking at those questions, I thought it would be better if I just not answer those 1, 2, or 3 people, but come on this line and see if we all can learn together as a combined group, and this include this Garib and Nachis in the learning. So let's come to the Farman Mubarak. So we can start with the name of the Imam, because in his name there is a lot of barakat. There is a lot of barakat in Imam's name. Nur Maulana Shah Karimul Hussaini Hazir Imam Salawatullah Alayhi. 2 Faramin in the front of the dua book. I would like each and every spiritual children not only to know the dua by heart, but to understand the meaning of the dua. It is fundamental for you and for your children and for the future of our Jamaat that each and every one of you, particularly the younger members of the Jamaat, should understand the meaning of the dua. You notice Imam is not talking about translation. Imam is not talking about the translation, but the ta'wil, the meaning, the understanding of our dua. Second farman, I do not want you to recite the dua without knowing what is the meaning of the dua. It is essential that our young children should know what is the meaning of the dua, and I would like you to make a special effort in the future to teach the young boys and the young girls the meaning the young boys and the young girls in the religious school the meaning of the dua. This both farman, you notice, emphasize on one thing, and that is the deeper meaning, the batin of our dua, the ta'wil of our dua, not the translation, but the meaning. And there is a huge difference between translation and the meaning of the dua. And we will talk about this in our session. So let's put the first question to rest. Why do we say dua 3 times when we are also Muslim, Ismaili Muslim, and our Muslim brother and sisters, they say their namaz 5 times? This is the easy question, so let's go and look at one of the ayah. And in our English dua book, actually this ayah is mentioned in the book. But sometimes when we are reading the dua, learning the dua, we are not paying attention to the beginning pages of the dua. So this farman and this ayat is in the front of the dua book. And the ayat goes like this. It's Surah 11, ayat number 114. It says, and establish prayers at the 2 ends of the day and at the approach of the night. 2 ends of the day, the morning and the evening, and at the approach of the night, which is our third dua. So evening we pray, we have 2 duas. One is called the dua at the end of the day, another one is called when approaches the night. So that is the farmane ilahi for us to have dua 3 times a day. I'm sure there is a question flying in your mind right now. Doesn't other Muslim brother and sister read this ayat? How come they don't know about it? How come they don't follow this? Because Quran has many interpretation, and we are fortunate, lucky, that we have a current guidance from the living Imam. So in our tariqah, we follow the farman of the Imam. Imam says, do 5 times namaz? We have no question. Imam says 3 times dua? No question. And tomorrow if Imam says, Jamaat Khana is closed, pray from home? No question. Because we have living guidance, a living Imam-e-Zaman. This ayah goes a little bit further, so I'm going to go ahead and read that, just so you know that we have completed this ayat. And it says, indeed, good deeds do away with misdeeds. So reciting the dua and having the niyat to recite the dua and learn the meaning of the dua as per Imam's farman are considered good deeds. And this ayah says, indeed, good deeds do away with the bad deeds. That is a reminder for those who remember. That's a very key underlined word. This reminder is not for everybody. Who is it for? Those who remember. So let's remember. Let's remember. Surah 11, ayat number 114. Okay. And if you forget, it is in front of your dua book and you can see that. Arja. Now, let's make some notes, and I hope all of you are ready to take some good notes. So in the future, when your children, your family, your Jamaat ask about this, you can open your book and you can show them the references. So in our holy dua, there are 2 surahs and 5 ayat. 2 surahs, 1 surah at the beginning of the dua, 1 surah at the end of the dua in the 6th part, and 5 ayats in the middle, with 2 ayat in part 2 and 1 ayat each in part 3, 4 and 5. And we will look at the sequence, why these surahs and ayat are in the way, in the sequence they are in our holy dua. Before we go into detail of this ayat and understand this ayat and the sequence, remember the history of the dua as well. There was a time, in the time of Shariat, our Imam has strictly followed and given the farman to do 5-time namaz, strictly. But what time that was? That was time of Shariat. Then we came into time of Hakikat. And things started to change. We started to understand, we started to learn the meaning and the understanding of the namaz of the Shariat. Then came time for Hakikat. And especially our peers, the one who brought all of the Khoja Jamaat, gave the talim and took the bayat, those Ismaili who were living in India, Pakistan or subcontinent in Asia, subcontinent which is India and Pakistan and few other small countries around us. And they gave us dua in Gujarati, in the language that we would understand. And this dua has evolved from Gujarati to Sindhi, and there were some Quranic ayat and there were some tasbiyat from the Quran, and there were so many dua part at the beginning. Why? Remember the principle? We have a living Imam, and whatever he guides us according to the time and the place. Now 2 things, time and the place, because time was of the Hakikat and the place was that we Khoja, we did not understood Arabic or Persian or even Urdu, so our dua were made easy for us in the language that we spoke, depending on where we were, made it easier for us. But still, even in Gujarati dua, we had the Arabic surahs and ayat and some of the great tasbiyat in the Quran. And one that comes off of the top of my mind instantly, if you remember our Buzrug, our elder, if they remember the old dua, we used to have a tasbih in our dua. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil wa ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir. This was part of our old dua. And it is actually two different ayat combined as a tasbih from the Quran. So, let's come to our dua part 1. What do we have in our dua part 1? And we're not going to talk about the entire part. We are just focusing on the surah, and we're going to focus on ayahs and why in the way these are frequent, why Imam had approved this dua the way it is today. And we will talk about few changes that had taken place in our current Jama. Mullah Bapa had made some changes compared to the dua that Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah had approved in 1954 and then again in 1956 for the Syrian Jamaat and for the Tajiki Jamaat and for the Afghani Jamaat, because their language was not Gujarati. So this dua was sent to them. This very dua I'm talking about, minus few of the changes that we're gonna talk about today. It was sent to them because it was in fully Arabic and it was easier for to recite the dua. Acha. Surah Al-Hamd, which is also called Surah Fatiha. Surah Fatiha, the beginning. Surah Al-Hamd, the praise. And Surah Shifa, because it is said that if someone recites this surah, if they are sick or someone in their family is sick, 7 times, Allah will descend the angels to give them shifa. To give them shifa. So it's called Surah Shifa. And then one more name, and this is from the Kalame Mullah Ali. Mullah Ali said, this surah is also Ummul Kitab. Ummul Kitab, the mother of the book. Why is this called mother of the book? Because the essence of the Quran, is hidden in one single surah, and this is the surah Al-Hamd. The essence of our tariqah, essence of the Islam is hidden in this one single surah. And let's go to surah and see why is that. Like, I want to remind you, all of you have listened to the dua meaning classes. So I will cover some of this thing here, and I will leave rest to you to do your personal search and listen to those lectures of the dua where we have gone into detail meaning of each part of the dua. Because if we are reciting the dua without knowing the meaning, what are we doing? We are working against the farman of the Imam. Because Imam says, and I'm going to read this one line again, just in case we have forgotten. Imam says, I do not want you to recite the dua without knowing what is the meaning of the dua. Okay, having said that, let's come to Surah Al-Hamd. And why is it so important? And why is it at the beginning of the dua? Because it is called Surah Fatiha, the beginner, the beginning of doing something. And how can a namaz, a dua, a prayer of any Muslim, including Ismaili Muslim, can start without Surah Fatiha? So obviously, this has to come first. And let's try to understand this now. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We cannot even begin to understand what is this one line means. Translation? Easy. In the name of Allah, who is Rahman and Rahim. But I'm not talking about translation. Remember, Imam did not say to learn translation. What did Imam say? Know the meaning, the tawil, the deeper batini understanding. And remember one of the Imams for one. Imam says, the tawil of the Quran. Now first Imam says, what is written in Quran is for everybody. But the tawil is for us and our Jamaat only. That is what I'm talking about. The tawil, the meaning which is for our Jamaat only. It's not for everybody. That's it. I cannot even go further than that. The Bismillah and the Ba, English word B-A, Ba. And let's not even talk about Ba without we understanding the dot under the word Ba, under the alphabet Ba. There is a dot. Mullah Ali says, I am the dot under the Ba of Bismillah. I'm sure all of you are catching the underlined words. So what are we doing? We are starting our dua with the name of Ali. Where is the name of Ali? I don't see it. In translation, I don't see it. In Arabic, I don't see it. Where is name of Ali? It is under the Ba. Dot under the Ba stands for Ali. So now, if you understood the meaning of this, it will make it easier for us to understand the dua. When we say, in the name of Allah, and we don't even know who the Allah is, how can we start in the name, the one I have never seen, I cannot even comprehend because he's above all else. I cannot praise him because I don't even know who he is. He's above all else. But knowing what Imam has said to us, what Mullah Ali have said to us, that I am the dot under the Ba, now I can say, in the name of Ali, in the name of the Imam, in the name of Ali az-Zaman, Bismillah, in the name of Ali, I begin my prayer. The conviction, the belief, the Iman, the understanding, the batin, the core, the fundamental principle of our tariqah. Rahman and Rahim, Al-Rahman and Al-Rahim. Why Allah is repeating two words which has exactly same meaning? They both means merciful. In simple language, in translation, they both means merciful. But there is a huge difference. When you read any of the ayat, may it be in Quran or in your dua. Again, let's refer back to Imam's Farman. When you read Quran and when you read ayah in the Quran, when you read a single word in the Quran, It must represent a concept to you. What concept comes to our mind when we read Ar-Rahman and Rahim? Because they're both meaning the same, the merciful. No, that is the translation. Meaning, Ar-Rahman stands for Imam's or Allah's one attribution, when Rahim stands for Imam and Allah other attribution. There are two separate attribution. And whenever Allah repeats a same and similar word in Quran or anywhere, even in our tariqah, and let me give you an example for everyone to understand it easily. When in our dua we say, Ya Mola tu rehem kar, Ya Mola tu fazl kar. Most of the people, most of the listener take the meaning of this dua in our tasbih as one. Ya Mola tu rehem kar, Ya Mola tu fazl kar. Be merciful to us. No, whenever he is using two different words of similar meaning, it should represent a deeper concept to us, for us, our Jamaat. What does Rahemkar and Fazalkar mean? What is this that we are reciting for years and years? To some of us, over half a century. Ya Mola tu Rahemkar, Ya Mola Fazalkar. How do you understand this tasbih? What does it mean? What it means, Ya Mola, have mercy on my soul, and Fazal kar, elevate my soul. Fazal के अंदर फजीलत का वर्ड छुपा हुआ है, और फजीलत का मतलब होता है ऊपर ले जाना, इंक्रीज करना, इज्जत देना, बुलंद करना. Do you see that? That's how we should pay attention to our tasbiyat and dua. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say that we are better than a parrot or a monkey. We just do what others do, we just mimic. We are not. We are human with the intellect. And we can read today. This Jamaat today, we are literal Jamaat. We have the languages. We can read Urdu, we can read English, we can read Arabic. And we have all this Faramin in front of us. Let's pay attention to our tariqah, the Batini tariqah, not Shariati tariqah. In Shariat, you don't have to do anything. Just do as you were told, and that's it, you are done. But in Batini tariqah, Imam has left that to us to do personal search, to learn the meaning, to learn the tawil, and understand our kriya. He has left that to us. He trusts us that now, today, after 600 years of Pir Sadruddin and Pir Shams and Pir Hasan Kabiruddin, we Ismailis have come far, far, and we are more advanced today, more modern today, more educated today than ever before. Imam is trusting us. Ar-Rahman stands for Imam, where Imam is Imamul Nas. What does Imamul Nas mean? Imam of all the humans, all the people. So when we say Ar-Rahman, Imam is merciful to all of the humans. We are not talking about apna mola bapa ni વાત નથી કરતો હવે હું. આપણા મોલા બાપા નહીં, બધાયના મોલા બાપા. આપણા imam નહીં, બધાયના imam. That's what I'm talking about. But when we say Rahim, now we are talking about Imamul Muttaqeen, Imam of the purified, Imam of those who are in Imam's bayat, those who are following the Imam, those who recognize the Imam, and those who are the murid of the Imam. Do we see why this ayat is at the beginning of the dua? So we can even understand the basic fundamental essence and the concept of our tariqah. If we don't even know what we are saying, that when are we talking to Imam and Muttaqeen, the Imam which are merciful especially for those who are in Imam's bayat, and when Imam is merciful to all. This one line tells us. Do you see how deep the meaning of our dua is, of this ayat is? And we only have talked about one line. We haven't even talked about the entire surah. And you are beginning to understand why Imam has emphasized so much on the bain, in the meaning of the dua. So now we're going to go quickly into the surah, and anybody who's interested in learning the complete and detailed meaning, listen to those other lectures of the dua. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Al-Hamd, the praise, is due to whom? The Rabbil Alameen. Who is Rabbil Alameen? According to Imam Jafar Sadiq, Imaman are the Rabbil Alameen, and they nourish the personal world of each and every one of us. Whomever opens their heart, whoever opens their batin, whoever opens their mind, Imam nourishes them. All the praises are due to the Imam, who is Rabbul Alameen. Very simple translation, very simple meaning, very simple understanding. Again, Ar-Rahmani Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, the master of the day of Qiyamah. Now, if you want to go into the Quran, and if you want to see who is the master of the Qiyamah, who is the master of the Qiyamah, find that in the Quran, and I'll give you one reference, and there are many references. I'll give you one, easy one. 17, Surah 17, ayat number 71. And it says, it reads, that on the day of Qiyamah, everyone will be called upon with their Imam. क़यामत के दिन तमाम लोगों को उनके इमाम के साथ बुलाया जाएगा. क्यों? क्योंकि वो क़यामत के दिन का मालिक है. આપણે સમજીએ છીએ ને હું શું કહું છું કે ઇમામ જ क़यामતના દિવસનો માલિક છે, અને આપણને બધાને ઇમામ સાથે જ क़यामતના દિવસે જવું છે. If you want to read that, Surah 17, ayat number 71. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Continue to give us guidance on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, which we are on. We are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ya Mullah, continue to guide us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, so we can stay on this path, we can progress on this path, and inshallah at the end of this path, end of this journey, we can become one with you, Mullah Baba. The next three words are very special to understand what is Sirat al-Mustaqim, who are on Sirat al-Mustaqim, and who has been rewarded on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Every word you are listening has so much meaning to it that if you miss one single word, you will miss the fundamental meaning of our dua. Sirat al-lazina an'amta alayhim. That Sirat al-Mustaqim, that straight path on which our Ambiyas, our Awliyas, our prophets, our Imams, our Peers, our Dais have walked, keep us on their Sirat al-Mustaqim. And they are the one who you have favored. On those, the one who you have rewarded. Now the question for the listener. If we are saying keep us on Sirat al-Mustaqim, then are we on the Sirat al-Mustaqim on which Imams, Anbiya, Awliya, Peers, Dais have walked on? And if your answer is yes, then are we part of those who has been rewarded? आप समझ रहे हैं मैं क्या कह रहा हूं? कि हम उस रास्ते पर हैं जहां पर खुदा की रहमतें हो रही है. Are we part of that? That is the question for the listener. Ghairil Maghdubi Alayhim Waladdallin, not of those who have gone astray. So that's the first dua part. And you saw why we recite that surah at the beginning of our dua. Because without that, we will not have any understanding of our dua, our prayer, who we are speaking to, who our conversation is taking place with, who is Rabbil Alameen, who is Allah, we would have no idea. But today, if you understand, keyword is if you understand, then you know what I'm saying. Let's come to dua part 2. In dua part 2, there are two ayat, not one ayat, but two ayat. The first ayat is from Surah Nisa, ayat number 59, and the second part is from Surah Yasin, Surah number 36, ayat number 12. And it goes like this. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ati'ullah wa ati'ur rasul wa ulil amra minkum. That's first ayat. Surah Nisa, ayat number 59. Second part of this ayat is wa kulli shay'in asna'u fi imame mubin. And that is Surah Yasin, ayat number 12. So, why this ayat in this sequence after Surah Al-Hamd? Because once we understand Surah Al-Hamd, who is Rabb and who are we talking to, who are we praying to, then obviously we have to say that our itaat, our bayah, our prostration, our belief, our aqidah is on whom? किसके ऊपर हम भरोसा करते हैं और किसकी इताअत करते हैं हम? Who do we follow? So obviously this part has to come second, and that is if we understand dua part 1, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ati'ullah ati'ur rasul wa ulil amra minkum. We only follow Ya Allah, you, after you, Rasul, after Rasul, ulil amra minkum, the one with amr, one with amr. Again, I will invite you to do personal search and see who has the amr of Allah today. Who are the one with the amr? Research. Go into Quran and research, and you will find amazingly the amr after Allah, after Rasul, stands with Ulil Amra Minkum, with the Imam of the time. Imam of the time. Amr stands with them. So obviously, now we have to say, Ya Mullah, my itaat, my obedience is to you today. And then we are saying why our obedience is with Imam. Why? Can we not have only obedience with Allah? Can we not have only obedience with Rasul? Why do we have to have obedience with Imam? Those are the questions we should have asked long time ago. So we can be firm in our belief, firm in the belief of the Imam. Inshallah today. Inshallah today. Why our obedience is to Ulil Amr Minkum, the Imam of the time? Because Wakulle Shain Senafi Imame Mubin. Because everything is encompassed. When I say everything, Allah's Nur and the book of the Rasul and the Amr of the Rasul, the Hidayat of the Rasul, the Shariat of the Rasul, the religion of the Rasul, everything is encompassed in Imam. And which Imam? The manifested Imam. Imam Mubin. The manifested Imam, not their Imam जो गायब हो गया है, not their Imam that we cannot see, not their Imam that is not in front of us. Imam Hazril Mawjood, Imam Mubin, the one we can see with our own eyes. गायब इमाम की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं हम, माजी के अंदर बात नहीं कर रहे हैं हम. That Imam, the manifested Imam, that you can see with your own eyes. Everything is encompassed in him, including Allah's Amr, Allah's Itaat, including Prophet's Amr, Prophet's Itaat, including the Nur and the book. Everything is encompassed in Imam. That is the reason that we follow. Our itaat, our obedience is to the Imam Zaman. Now you see the obvious reason why this second part has to be here, because without the obedience, nothing matters. We cannot even call ourselves smiley without the obedience of the Imam. If we are superficially have done a bayah, but we have no obedience of the Imam, then in the name we can be smiley, but not in actual action. In our deeds, we cannot be smiley because there is no obedience to the Imam. So obviously this has to come second. Let's come to part number 3. Part number 3 has one ayah, and that is Surah Maida, ayat number 5, Surah number 5, ayat number 67. Now we are learning where and how the itaat of the Imam was commanded on us. The Amr was given to Imam when? This is the Surah ayat that tells us that the command of Allah and the command of the Rasul, the Nur of Allah and the book of Rasul was given to the Imam. And that ayat is, Ya ayyuha Rasulu balligh ma unzilaika min rabbika. I wanted to stop here. In our Shia tradition, our Shia brethren have one more part added to this ayat, and they did not add it. Actually, our Sunni brethren deleted it, this part from this ayat in the Quran. In the original ayat, the ayat will go like this. Ya ayyul rasulu balligh ma unzilaka min rabbika wa aliyul mola ul mu'minun. Ya ayat is तरह से थी. This is how the original ayat was revealed to Muhammad, and it was in the written shape in the Quran at the beginning. And then it was modified, and this small portion of Ali was taken out. But regardless, Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, when Imam was asked about this ayat, and you know what Imam said? Whatever they have in the Quran, even with the addition, even with the edited part, is good enough for us. To prove the Imamat and the Imam Barhaq, the Quran is sufficient the way it is today. So we don't have to worry about it, because that is the farman of the Imam. And we can see how. Ya ayyuha rasulu balligh ma unzilaka min rabbika wa illam tafal fama balagta risalata wa la yusmakan nas. Tell the people, give them the message. And what was the message? That Ali is the Mola of the Mu'mineen. If you do not give this message, then everything you have done up until this point, it would be null and voided. Can you imagine this single message? Allah is saying, if you don't give this message, 23 years of Risalat is null and void. That's how important this message was. Because here it shows the Hidayat, the guidance, the Nur continues forever and ever and ever. It's not the Prophet comes and Prophet leaves and the guidance are muted. No. Imamat and Imams are always and always and always present. The guidance and the Nur-e-Ilahi is always and always and always present. This is the ayat. So obviously, this ayat had to be right here. It could not be before and it could not be after. Because first we have to learn who the Ali is. We have to learn who is and where is the Nur and Amr. Now we know how it continued after the Prophet Muhammad. Part 4. Part 4 is from Surah Al-Fatah, Surah number 48, ayat number 10. And let's see why in this sequence. Inna allazina yubayunaka innama yubayunallah yadullahi fawqa. Right here. The hand of Allah. Who and where is that hand? Inna allazina yubayunaka innama yubayunallah yadullahi fawqa. Yadullah, the hand of Allah. And today, after understanding who Ali is, who are we supposed to follow, obedience? When did Ali's Imamat was announced? The obvious part was that he is the hand of Allah after Rasul. Ali as Zaman, the Imam as Zaman, is the hand of Allah today. And whoever follows him, then they are working in their own favor, and whoever leaves him, they are the Zalimeen. They are the oppressor to their own soul. And whoever stay on this Sirat al-Mustaqim with the Imam, with the Amr, and with the hand of Allah, what do they have? They have a Ajr Azim, the great reward. Do we remember the reward that we mentioned in Dua part 1? On the Sirat al-Mustaqim is the reward, are the favors. Who has the favor? And I had asked you a question in the Dua part first. Are the one who has been rewarded? Are the one that Allah is saying that are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim and the one who has been favored? Answer is right here. Those who stay on this path have the Ajr Azim, the great rewards. And we can have an entire lecture on this one single word, Ajr Azim. What are the favors and rewards of Allah on us because we have the Imam Zaman? Let's come to Dua part 5. This ayat is taken from Surah Al-Anfal, Surah number 8, ayat number 27. And it says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la takunullah wa rasul wa takunu amanatikum wa antum ta'lamun. Now think why this ayat in this sequence. Because Imam has given us Ajr Azim, Imam has given us a amanat. We have the amanat. So let's think about this again. Question I place in this part 1. Who are those in Sirat al-Mustaqim who has been favored and rewarded? Dua part 4, we talked about those who are with the Imam have Ajr Azim, the great reward. And I said we can have an entire lecture on that. What is this Ajr Azim? What is this amanat? The amanat of Allah, amanat of Rasul. You can listen to the Dua part 5 meaning in your own personal search. I'm going to just talk about this last part. The amanat amongst you, the amanat that you have, amanat that I have, amanat we have as the murid of the Imam. What is this amanat? We are been favored by all of the blessings of Imam. We are blessed with the Faramin of the Imam. We are blessed with the Talimat of the Peers. We are blessed with the interpretation and the Tawil of the Quran. We are blessed with Ilm, the true knowledge. The highest amanat with us today is the true knowledge of the Imam. How do we know this is the amanat? Imam made us da'i, Imam made us ambassador. What is our responsibility as a da'i, as the ambassador of the Imam? That we must learn, understand the true knowledge. I'm not talking about information. I'm not talking about other knowledge. I'm only talking about one and one knowledge, the true knowledge of the Imam. That is the amanat given to us today. Do not do khianat. Don't interfere in this amanat. Don't take the amanat and not return, because amanat is to take and return. What are we doing right now in this session? We are returning the amanat which is given to us by the Imam Zaman. We are returning this back to the Jamaat, to our family, to our friend, and inshallah tomorrow to the Ummah, to the humanity at the large. Because you cannot keep the amanat. What has been trusted to you, return back, give. Do not keep. Do we understand this ayat? Maybe this is a hard ayat to understand because we never thought that we have any kind of amanat. Remember, we have three kind of amanat. Amanat of Allah, amanat of Rasul, but we are only talking about the amanat amongst us, the true knowledge of the Imam. Other two amanat, I invite you to listen to the Dua Part 5 meaning lecture. Let's come to our last part, Dua Part 6, and see why this surah. So first you notice we have two surahs at the each end and 5 ayat in the middle. Two surah at the each end. In the Shariat, in the namaz, no prayers can be completed without two surah. Without two surahs. Our dua cannot be completed without two surahs. Because that is the Amre Ilahi, Amre Rasul, the command of the Rasul. No prayer can be completed without two surahs. Which surahs? Surah Al-Hamd and Surah Ikhlas. This surah number is 112 in the Quran, and you can go and look at it if you like. Kullu wallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yulid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. After we talk about Ali, after we talk about Rabb, after we talk about Rasul, after we talk about Imams, but at the end we are saying Allah is one. How do we comprehend this? Have we understood Allah? Or have we not understood Allah yet? Did we understand who is Allah? Where is Noor and where is Amar? If we have not understood that yet, अभी तक अगर हमको ये बात समझ में नहीं आई है, तो ये सूरा हमको कभी भी समझ में नहीं आएंगी. Why? Because now we are talking about the oneness of Allah. How Allah is one? Because Imam is one. Allah's Noor is one. Allah's Noor is in the Imam and He is the one. Why would we say Kullu wallahu ahad, Allah is one? Because Allah's Noor is Wakulle Shayin Nasanau fi Imam Mubin. So where is Allah? That one Allah. Where is He? Where is that one Noor? The one who has not given birth to anyone, nor He has been begotten. Where is this Allah? That Allah's Noor, that Allah's command is in Wakulle Shayin, in the Imam Mubin. That's how the concept of monoreality comes to life. Concept of monoreality, concept of wahadat, concept of oneness. And here we are not talking about Allah and all of us. That is two concepts. Allah and us. That is two concepts. We are talking about Kullu wallahu ahad, one, where everything is encompassed in Nafsun Wahida, in the one single soul of Allah. And where is the single soul of Allah? In the Imam Mubin. That's how kullu wallahu ahad. Ahad, he is one and he has encompassed everyone and collected into the one single soul in the Imam Mubin. इस तरह से खुदा एक है. कहां पर? इमाम मुबीन के अंदर. हम सब भी और नूर अल्लाह भी सब इमाम के अंदर एक है. इस तरह से कुल्लू वल्लाहु अहद है. So next part that I want to discuss in the dua, and there's only one single prayer that we will discuss today. There are so many prayers, right? After the ayat, there is a prayer. Every single part has the ayat or surah and then the prayer. But the most single important prayer is the one to discuss with everyone. I wanted to start with this one farman so we can understand this dua, this prayer in our dua. And the farman is of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to that Imam. It's the Baitul Khayal farman. It was made in February 10th, 1910 in Pune, India, where Imam says, what you want to see at the end, in the Akhirat, afterlife, try to see it within this life. You can see all that within 6 months or even in 3 months. What you are wishing to see hereafter. That is the farman. And there's a long farman, and the last line talks about what you want, what you wish to see in afterlife, you can see in this life, but the condition is to practice mutu qabla. What is mutu qabla? Mutu qabla anta mutu, die before you die. Sacrifice your carnal soul. अपने नफ्से अमारा को मारोगे तो आप वो सब कुछ देख सकोगे जो आपको आखिरत में देखना है. अगर अपनी नफ्स को मारोगे, then you will be able to see everything that you wish to see afterward. But Mullah said, don't wait for afterward. Don't wait to die physically. You do not have to die physically. You can see it in this world. And I have shared this farman with Altaf. Whoever are interested, you can ask him for a copy. So let's come to our dua, where in our dua talks about mutu qabla antu mutu. I'm sure all of you right now are thinking and reciting the dua quickly in your mind. I don't remember ever saying mutu qabla antu anta mutu in my dua. I don't remember ever saying that. Remember what Imam said? Please know the meaning of your dua. Imam been urging this for years and years and decades after that. Please know your dua, learn the dua, learn the meaning of the dua. Why don't we remember asking for mutu qabla anta mutu in our dua? Why? Because we don't know the meaning of the dua. Inshallah today and after today we will find this in our dua. कहाँ पर है? पार्ट 2 के अंदर है. हमारे दुआ के पार्ट के 2 नंबर पर है ये. I'm going to read this and then I will explain this so you understand where does we ask, where do we pray to go through the maut before we die. Mutu qabla an tamutu. And that is, Allahumma ya Maulana anta salam wa minka salam wa alayka yarju salam aina rabbana bis salam wa dikhilna daris salam tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alita ya zal jalali wal ikram. Is this dua is after we die? Do we recite this dua after we die? Or do we recite this dua every single day, 3 times a day for decades? For years we are saying this dua. Do you see yet कि कहां पर हमने मौत की तलब की, मौत की दुआ की? मरने की जरूरत नहीं है मेरे भाइयों, मेरे बहनों, मेरे वडीलों, मेरे दोस्तों, हमको मरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Let's understand this dua. Allahumma ya Maulana, O my Maula, ya my Allah, enter me into, start with Allahumma ya Maulana anta salam. You are salamati. Wa minka salam. From you there is salamati. Walayka yarju salam. To you return the salamati. Stop here. Understood? The Ya Mola, you are the salamati. Understood? Ya Mola, from you is the salamati. But wait a minute. एक मिनट ठहरे. अब हम बोल रहे हैं to you return the salamati, meaning that Imam sends us salamati, then he takes it back. How does salamati return back to Imam? What are we talking about here? What is salamati? सलामती का मतलब होता है हमेशा की जिंदगी. जब हम कहते हैं ना है जिंदा कायम पाया, वो क्या है? वो हमेशा की जिंदगी का बयान है. It is the affirmation of the salamati when we say है जिंदा कायम पाया, that Ya Mola, you are always salamat, you are always living, and you are always present. Now come back to this dua. Ya Mola, you are salamati, you are always living. Ya Mola, from you the salamati comes to us, meaning the zindagi, the life. Which life? Of salamati, the life of ever living comes from you, Ya Mola. And if you make me ever living, then with that ever living life of salamati, I will return back to you. Do you understand the meaning of this part? That we are asking Mola Bapa to give us that life that Mola Bapa has. Give us that ever living life of salamati which you have. So when I return to you, I return with that pure salamati, the ever living life. Salamati, the ever living life, returns back to Imam. Now let's come. Wadikhilna daris salam, and enter me into the home of salamati. What is the home of salamati? Ya Mola, you are salam, you are salamati, you are ever living, you are that home of salamati. Do we understand? We are asking Mola Baba to give us a maut. Mutu qabla anta mutu. Give me a life, a salamati, by giving me a maut so I can become alive today. How? With the completely salamati. तेरे नूर से, तेरे अल हई के अमर से, तेरे अल कय्यूम के अमर से, I wanted to become salam, salamati, ever living. And today, please enter me into your home of salamati, so I can become part of Wakulle Shaina Sinafi Imam Mubin. So I can be part of that. Vadikrna Dar Salam. And then we say, we affirm our belief. We affirm our belief. What is our belief? Tabarakta Rabbna wa Ta'alita Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram. You are my Rabb, and definitely you can do that. Mola Bapa, definitely you can make me a life, ever living life, the one you have. If you send me your salamati, I can become ever living. Where I would become ever living? In you, Mola Bapa, because you are salamati. You are Dar es Salam. You are that home of ever living salamati. I wanted to be part of you, Mola Bapa, today. I don't want to wait until I die. I wanted to see that home of salamati today. And that is the prayer that we've been asking for every single day of our life. As Ismaili, as we recite the dua of souls, unfortunately, we recite the dua, but we don't understand what we are asking. I'm going to stop here. I think this was very powerful, and I'm sure there are many questions, even comments. So may I ask for a 1 minute break? Let me get some water, and we will start with the questioning after this. Just give me 1 minute break. Thank you, everybody.